2023 was a monumental year for many reasons. It saw the release of the Super Mario Bros. Movie, the final part of James Gunn's Guardians of the Galaxy trilogy, and Barbenheimer dominated the summer movie slates. But for us Whovians, it was a very monumental year. To celebrate Doctor Who's 60th anniversary in 2023, Russell T Davies and his crew over at Bad Wolf Studios treated us to 3 episodes to celebrate this monumental occasion. Not only did it see the returns of both David Tennant and Catherine Tate as the Doctor and Donna respectively, but also saw the live-action debuts of Beat the Meat and the Wharf Warriors, as well as the return of one of Classic Who's most obscure villains. Now, in today's video, the first of 3 parts actually, I'll be going back over the episodes we got to see what exactly could have been improved upon and what could have made these episodes even better than what we got originally. And in this video, we'll be talking about the first of these 3 specials, the Star Beast. Now, before I get into what I would change about the Star Beast in particular, I'm first going to discuss a large change that I'll be making overall to all 3 of these episodes. This change in particular relates to the runtime of the specials themselves. Now, each of the episodes we got for the 60th all clocked in at around an hour each. This led to a lot of things being overlooked and in some areas of the story feeling rushed, but I will come back to that point later on. So, how are we going to fix the issue of the episodes being rushed? Well, I have a simple fix for that. Extending the runtime, which is quite simple by all means. Now, because these 3 episodes are all intended to be specials, I think a substantial increase in runtime to about maybe 90 minutes would allow more scenes to be added and to devote more time to certain details that may have gone overlooked. Okay, let's actually get into talking about the first episode of the specials themselves. Now, in 2024, I actually released 3 separate reviews for each of the 3 episodes, and when it came to the Star Beast, personally, I was very much satisfied with what we had been given. I enjoyed how Russell managed to adapt and modernise a 70s Doctor Who comic for a more modern audience, and I especially enjoyed how both David Tennant and Catherine Tate were utilised in their respective roles. Beat the Meat was a welcome addition to the live-action side of things, and I loved all the work that went into bringing this character to life on screen, ranging from the puppetry work that was done, and then using CGI to further augment the actual design. That, combined with the voice work of the talented Miriam Margolyes, gives the Meat real character, which I actually quite enjoyed. Now, if you do want to see my actual thoughts on the Star Beast and the other 2 specials, there will be links down below to show what I thought about each of them. So once the 60th specials had finished airing in December, many devoted Whovians, myself included, had loads of unanswered questions related to the episodes themselves. One such question was, why exactly did the Doctor subconsciously choose the face of his 10th incarnation during the regeneration in Power of the Doctor? Now, many fans, again myself included, have actually interpreted this in their own ways. But the canon reason is that 14 chose the face of 10, mainly because of his desire for family and to relax and slow down, which according to the 10th Doctor in Doomsday was the one adventure that he believed he could never have. However, that doesn't answer the question of why the clothing changed, as there hasn't been a specific answer given by Russell or anyone else who wrote the episode, at least regarding the clothing change in canon. And whilst I do like the in-canon explanation, I'm actually going to change the reading entirely. Instead, I'm actually going to take a page out of Andrew Cartmell's book and actually provide more mystery surrounding why the Doctor's face returned by alluding to it here and there through small details. To do a little bit of explaining here, because I know there are probably more new Who fans as opposed to more classic Who fans, Andrew Cartmell was a script editor for Who back in the 80s just before it got cancelled, and had created what he called, and what many other fans refer to as, the Cartmell Master Plan. Among his ideas was to reveal the Doctor as the Other, known as one of the founders of Time Lord Society, alongside Rassilon and Omega. For the mystery surrounding the return of the Doctor's face, I'm going to hint towards why it's back in a similar way to what Andrew likely would have done with his cancelled plans. That then brings us to the next major change I'll be adding to the Star Beast, and that is Destination Skaro. For those unaware, Destination Skaro was a 2023 short episode for Children in Need, which saw 14 14 accidentally interfering, yet again, in the creation of the Daleks, this time being responsible for their name and providing them with the toilet plunger arm, which, let's be honest, we should thank them for, because they would have ended up with a giant claw otherwise. In my rewrite for the Starbeast, I'm going to be replacing the opening monologues of 14 and Donna with the 5-minute scene of Destination Skaro, and essentially this scene is going to act as what we would call a cold open. The main idea is that the Doctor is being pulled back into his past, going back to a crucial point in the Daleks' creation, being a reference to the events of Genesis, and how the Doctor interfered at a crucial point in their early development. Though in this situation, he's gone back to an even further point. This would then set up the overall theme of mystery that I want to achieve in the rewritten version of these specials. Why has the Doctor got an old face back? Why is he being pulled back into the Daleks' history? And why has Donna Noble reappeared in his life again after all these years? Okay, we've talked about general improvements, my original thoughts from my review last year, as well as looking at some unanswered questions and incorporating Destination Skaro into the mix. So let's talk about what we're going to add to the Starbeast to make it better. So we're going to start off with opening on the TARDIS headed to Skaro. That scene is largely going to remain intact, but with some technical changes. By that I mean stuff that would likely be altered in post-production. What I would do is change the music and perhaps adding a few flashbacks to several encounters the Doctor has had with his greatest enemy in the past. These scenes in my mind would be from some of the more memorable Dalek stories to bring the classic fans in, including the first TV story to feature them, which was aptly titled The Daleks. Then we'd have scenes from Genesis and then Remembrance of the Daleks, which I think a lot of people believe is one of the best Dalek stories to my knowledge. And then we'd have some scenes from Parting of the Ways because, I mean, we've got to get Modern Who in there somehow. After leaving Skaro, we would then cut to the Doctor back in the TARDIS, still using Jodie's old console room, as he wonders why exactly his past is being replayed once again. Not just his old face coming back, but also now having to interfere in the past of the Daleks once more. After the title sequence, we would then cut to the actual start of the story from the original episode, with the Doctor landing in Camden Market and coming face to face with Donna and meeting Rose for the first time. The next addition, or I would say re-edition really, I'm going to make is using the deleted scene where 14 uses his new sonic screwdriver for the first time. Now, the mystery of the Sonic is another one of those unanswered questions from these specials, and continues that theme of mystery. Whilst the comic Liberation of the Daleks shows 14 losing his previous Sonic, the one that was predominantly used by Jodie, it's never explicitly stated how the Doctor got this new one, and it's also never specified as to how he lost it, because neither 14 nor 15 mention having to replace that one in particular. Next we would see the Doctor headed to the crash site of the spaceship with some assistance from Sean Temple, and we would from here see most of the story here remain unchanged. So we would see Rose meeting the Meep, the Doctor meeting Shirley Bingham, and then showing up at the Noble household. Now, the Doctor, Donna and the rest of Donna's family are under the impression that the Meep is being hunted by an unknown alien race, the War Warriors. Eventually, however, the charade falls as it did, and the Meep is revealed to be the villain under the same circumstances. The Doctors and the Nobles are then taken captive by the unit soldiers, all of whom are under the Meep's influence, and then after escaping, the Doctor manages to make his way to the Meep's ship. The Doctor and Donna would manage to stop the Meep's ship from taking off, and all manage to reverse the damage caused by this ship. From here we would see the reversal of the Mess Crisis, and Donna regains the lost memories from her time with the Doctor. Now, here's where I'm going to make another change. I'm not actually going to keep the reasoning of the Mess Crisis having passed down to Rose, simply because the return of Donna's memory is part of the story spanning across these specials, that being the main overall theme of mystery. After the Meep is arrested and drops mention of the mysterious boss, we would then return to the Doctor and the Nobles at Camden Market. The Doctor offers Donna the chance to travel with him again, but she turns him down, stating that her place is on Earth now with her family and she has them to think about. But always said the Doctor is welcome to visit them and Will. This will be one of the other mentions of him in these specials. The Doctor would then return to the TARDIS and we would essentially see him react in the same way, because that was the part of the Starbeast that I loved massively. Just then, however, the TARDIS explodes and begins to malfunction, as the Doctor ends up being taken to somewhere random in time and space, and we then cut to black. After the credits roll and those are all wrapped up, we then get a post-credit scene with the 15th Doctor, waking up in a mysterious realm, the Edge of Regeneration. He wanders around this mysterious plane for a moment before he comes face to face with someone familiar. Someone he knows far too well, I might add.